What is going on, guys? Thanks for joining me for another Dent Digest live show. Hope everybody's having a great evening. I've got a special guest here, Rick Bruce from Dings and Dents.
Dings and
What's
Dents.
going on, buddy?
How you doing?
Made the trip from Gaithersburg, Rockville area,
Yeah.
which is it's about
DC
45
suburbs.
minutes. 45 minutes from where.
Normal traffic. It was a little over an hour today.
So I want to go over a couple things. I want to go over last week's show like I always do. It was a great show with Matt from Get a Grip. Kind of going over his products, going over his
It's a good
new
show.
stuff coming out and how he started and his whole backstory. He's got a big sale going on. So if you guys are still interested in getting yourself some Get a Grip, it's getagripnow.com. He's having a $20 off sale or 20% off sale until the 11th, I think he said. It's either the 7th or the 11th. So get on there, getagripnow.com. We've got some more giveaways coming next month. I'm going to keep trying to do the one giveaway a month. It looks like we gave away 2 Get a Grips stuff the last time. This week, next month, we've got a good friend of mine coming on and a great product, and he's going to be doing a giveaway. But we've got a lot of little stuff to give away still here, so some good people coming on. So I've got a tool that I've been using that I've had for a little while, and it needs to get a little recognition out here. And I've had it for probably 2 months, and it's the Blem Bendable Flag. And at first I was like, I don't know about this thing. I think it's going to be too bendable. This thing is
It's pretty
definitely
flexible.
bendable. It works really, really well in some of those areas where you just have to kind of get it in a space that's weird and get it. And it has enough strength here to really get the power that you need.
And the torsion.
Yes.
Like a torsion bar.
Yes.
So it has torsional strength, but
a little bit
I'm no engineer, but
flexibility to
yeah,
it,
it can flex that way, but it will put the power down the shaft to the flag.
But this thing's worked really well. We've done some hail cars. We've done some really nasty bedsides. And the tops of those bedsides down by the gas store gets a little weird shaped, and we were bending this and getting down inside there. So Blem Tools Bendable Flag. This thing's freaking awesome. So check it out. Got a couple guys in here. What's up, Manny? What's up, Sean? Trent? Good old Matt from Get a Grip. The other thing I've been really using, and I brought this on a couple weeks ago, but I think it needs to get recognized again, Hudson's Inspection Wedge. I've been using it more and more just in weird spaces, fender liners, trying to see where the bracket. I had an Accord yesterday with a big smash and stuck it in the fender liner to see where the bracket was for the headlight. And it lights up really, really good. I mean, it's definitely bright.
I think if you ease, that's another thing we were talking about, hail and stuff. If you just ease the headliner down, that would be something I didn't even think of. Like, you can kind of slide that in and
bracing.
Yeah, and just see, or like when you have some clip that's hanging you up, maybe you could slide in there, and because that thing's pretty bright.
It is
the first
really
time I've
bright.
seen it. It's on my shopping list, but
definitely
I don't have it yet.
Definitely a bright one. Hudson definitely did a good job with this thing. It's the only thing on the market right now that is like this. It's not a real flexible wedge. It's more of a stout hard wedge, but it casts a lot of light out. I mean, it's you can't really see it here, but
I don't know if it'd be like I was saying earlier, my everyday wedge, because I like something a little flexible. But man, inspection wise, you almost don't want it, I guess.
I'm a big Stucky wedge guy. I love the Stucky.
I've got that out there. I still use some old thing. I don't even know where it came from, but I
using
love
a piece of wood.
It's a little more flexible plastic. It's very tapered. I can just jam that thing in.
So you've been in the industry for a little while. Let's get a little rundown on you. How you got into the industry, kind of your history, how you were trained, where you are throughout your
Well, I'm a 52-year-old dude, and I started in 2001, and I had already had since I was summer turning 13 to 14, I was working at my dad was in Stidham Tire, which was eventually bought out by Merchants, but he was he was like a counter guy, tires, sold automotive service, eventually became like a vice president. Then we opened up in 1979, we opened up Bruce Tire and Auto out in the Montgomery County Airport.
Bruce Tire. Sounds really familiar.
We were out there for a long time, and we did a ton of service and tires. I did split rims and mag wheels. You know, I came up with the industry, and I just did a lot after school, over summer. A lot of mechanical assistance, light mechanical work, you know, really advanced tire balancing, everything in the industry on that side. And a dozen years later, after high school, I was ready for a change. And it was right at 2011. I kind of remember that. And it really has nothing to do with that, but it always sticks out in my mind. It was right around that 2001 area. I'm like, man, I'm sick and tired of answering phones. I'm sick and tired of all the problems running an automotive shop. And I was like, man, could you imagine working for yourself, by yourself?
Of course.
And you know, and I got a lot of people in the wholesale industry I got to know, and they're like, man, you should see what these paintless dent repair guys are, you know, up there in Mannheim, you know, making money.
So that's how you just kind of saw them working around. And
I first read about paintless dent repair in some like VW Porsche magazine, like way back in the day. I probably still have it. I wonder if I'll ever dig through it, but you know, I'm not a pack rat, but I saved some of the really cool stuff from when I was young in like little boxes. I put nostalgia on the outside. I still have my really old VW Porsche magazines, and I think it was in that. And they were like, "Oh man, you know, these people can fix these little small dents," and it just sounded like rocket science to me. But once I got to know some wholesaler guys, and I was looking for a change, we'd drive up to Mannheim, and I would just watch these guys do this, and I'm like, "Man, that's cool." And then he was a wholesaler, and I got to see one of the big ex-Dent Whiz guys out in our area, Nelson.
Oh, I know Nelson.
I know you probably knew that. I think I said you knew, but I got to like watch that guy work a little bit, and I was just like, man, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm good with my hands and this and that. And he's like, go find a school. I'm not going to tell you where I went because it wasn't the best experience.
I think you went to.
Yeah, I know. I know, you know, but I'm going to do the Mike Toledo rule and not talk down about anybody. I learned a lot, but I know at that school that a zillion people just got that and did nothing with it. The only reason it worked out for me is I pre-trained my butt off. I was already really good, like mechanically and with my hands. I kind of had it all, you know, the basics, and I could like find my tip really quick. I didn't struggle. But again, there's nothing super great about me, but I just had an enormous, you know, I also came from that era growing up where you tinkered and you did a lot of stuff like already. We had 3 channels of TV, you know, so you had to run outside and go, you know, fix something or play with something. But I got into it. I took schooling. I got probably the most of the class out of it. The person involved said, man, if you're a standout here, you can work for me after like 5 weeks or something of training. So I did go for a long time, and I did a lot. Anyway, I came back here, did more training in my garage, but then just went for it.
So you just pretty much worked through it yourself, kind of got home, really had the drive to do it.
Yes.
And then kind of said, I'm going to make this work.
Yeah. Well, and I was probably stupid enough or ignorant enough, or, you know, didn't have the knowledge enough to, you know, to know that I couldn't go out and do this. But I just went out, and of course I had already worked in the tire automotive field. I had, you know, for a few years I was helping customers. I kind of already had the comfort of approaching customers. So I went out and I got work right away. Was I the best? No, but I didn't even know.
Well, I think a lot of that, some of that's personality. You know what I mean? Some of that's your personality of coming out and, hey, I'm going to figure this out. You know, your own drive and figuring it out yourself, and your willingness to try anything.
And literally, I tried a lot. You know, I mean, the amount of things. And I came up in the era, I remember during this training there, you know, I heard some rumors. This is so we're circa 2001-ish. And I was reading as much, I'd read as much as I could about this thing. I'd saved up a lot of money. I had, 30, 40 grand back then saved up to do this transition. I was going one way down the lane. I was, I never had really a bunch of time off, but I'm like, I'm going to take X amount of weeks for whatever, X amount of weeks to transition and a little bit of time to hit the ground running. And I need to start making money.
How old were you then?
So I'm 52 now, but in 2000, I was approximately 34 when I started.
So you kind of had almost, as they say, a business plan. You kind of sat back and had an idea in your mind. You're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out.
And I was like, I'm like, I jumped off a bridge. I could have gone back to, I jumped off a bridge in one way. So I was like, I would sit there at night going, I got to do something. I got to make this work. I'm not going to make, this is going to work for me.
Yeah.
So I really fought my butt off, but I also was lucky to meet a few really good like guys and dealers and wholesalers and stuff that gave me a chance.
Did you have any other techs in your area that you kind of linked up with and were kind of like, hey,
that was back in the day that
everything was hidden.
Everything was hidden, yeah. It seemed like guys were a little bit, they were not as friendly.
Oh yeah, dude. Hey, I was one of those guys.
I remember going on one lot one time. Now, the other thing is I initially put myself out there, but I would say I've still, and today it doesn't even compare, but even back then I got in the door of a few places and then got a few things. And then mostly I've been asked to where I've gone. Mm-hmm. I've almost like left people alone. I was asked to come to one place and the existing dent guy got word of it. And he came up and almost hit me with his car and got out and was heated.
That's old school dents.
That was the old, yeah. This guy was even this guy had come from the old school and some other stuff. In the end, everything was okay. And I was, never been a tough guy, but I've never been all that worried about things either. So I'm just like, whatever. Pretty durable guy.
So you trained, you got out there, you started knocking on doors, trying to figure it out.
And
did it kind of just take off, or did it kind of take years for you?
No, I hit the ground running, making money. I know we don't usually talk a lot of numbers in this business, and I'm not going to, but I'm going to say that you'd be surprised. Even my first year's earnings were I almost could live today, but with a reasonable mortgage and my reasonable bills I have today, but I almost could have lived now just straight out.
Yeah.
Just, after those first few months of just acquiring some business and then just kind of slowly snowballing from there and whatever.
What were your biggest struggles? So as you're trying to grow and hit the road, and there's a lot of new guys in here, what are your struggles on when you started? If you look back and you're like, man, this was such a big hurdle, what was that?
Probably almost that it was too comfortable for me. Now, again, I had a lot of advantages. I wasn't a 20-something-year-old dude. I was already 34. I already done so much, in the car and automotive world. And it was also my hobby back then. I restored some old 50s cars. I messed around with VW bugs and rabbits and I'd already I knew a lot and I was comfortable with my hands and mechanically. In some ways, it was just like skills. I'd gotten to a certain level, and I didn't finish my point earlier that when I was first training, I asked the guy, I said, I'm reading some of the stuff that like you don't need to drill. And he went over to one of the little chalkboards, and he essentially it was something, and he's like BS or something. He's like, no, you drill. So I was a drilling maniac.
Hey, we all were back in the day.
I was like,
I was at CarMax and Laurel. And
I walked around with a drill over my, and I just, that we didn't know any different,
I mean, we drilled. I think every car at CarMax at one point could sink like the Titanic, because we used to go through plugs.
It was a glorious day. I know. I would order like a bag of 500,
yes,
1,000 half-inch plugs, and I was just like, And I just kept a zillion of them. When I first met you, I still had my old setup where I had a whole rack of like plugs, but now it's all dusty and sitting there. That's when I'm trying to reset up. I bought a new van, and I'm like, if I do use one of these shelves, I don't need this anymore. I don't need that. There's so much that's just different and changed.
Now, how did you fix that? Your thing of being too comfortable.
I think what I mean by too comfortable is that I was too confident in my skills, not knowing that the industry, I think when I first got in it, the industry just was slowly just improving, and maybe little ups and downs, and I would like improve and then stagnate, then improve and stagnate. I had a crude glue pulling kit when I first started, and that was part of my training, but it was like barely even taught.
So like the Worth tabs that you have to trim down. We were using denatured alcohol back then, and like Walmart glue. Oh man, it was.
And to me, I was just like, "Why? I'm going to drill and do whatever." I used to use the RF24, the Dent Craft double bend 24-inch.
Mm-hmm.
I used to use that for almost all my door repairs, like normal dings. And I would, I got like one arm was like the size of Popeye, and I had all the calluses in the right area. And then one year I'm just like, and I would check some stuff out on the internet. And then one year I'm just like, man, there's some tools out there with like adjustable handles and all this kind of, and I'm like, and I'm trying to scratch my head. And that was even a little bit before YouTube. And I'd sent out for one. The PDR Finesse, everyone's initially maybe it was everyone's favorite door tool, and it still is like one of mine.
Ultimate door tool is what's on their website.
Yeah, and I still like it for various reasons for certain situations when I'm doing more volume dings.
They're I use that. I mean, we just used yesterday, was it today? I don't remember which day it was. The 226s, the right and left 226s. They're great for Camaros.
Okay.
They're amazing for Camaro. So when it has that big hard body line, it's got enough kick. I mean, there's no spinach. It works awesome. That is a Camaro eater.
There's another one I forgot to show you. Man, my tools are everywhere.
You should see this guy's tools. He's got more tools in his truck than I've seen anybody in a long time.
And I only have a little bit of, and they're so like disorganized. I got a new van. I don't have my shelving anymore, but I do have a lot of tools in there. And honestly, with glue pulling, it's some of them sit there quite a lot because, I was going to mention to you the soft tip or the changeable, adjustable handle. Mm-hmm. Man, that changed the world for me. And I was probably a little late coming into that.
Easier on your body.
That's the number one thing. It was easier on my body, but then that translates into control. Mm-hmm. When you're not struggling or pushing, it doesn't matter how strong you are. Yeah. If you can do it easier and more comfortable, that opened up the quality of my work, the time.
Were you trained on lines or fog?
I was trained on a version of lines, almost even in a grid thing, and then PDQ tools, which I don't even know if they're around anymore, honestly. And I
think they are.
And no offense to them, but I just don't see them out there as much as other people. But they had a line and grid board that there was something very odd about it. And again, I kind of had to figure out a lot of things myself. So I showed you guys before, but I kind of started using this grid thing as a quick take up of what I'm doing. And then I would transition to lines. And I still use a variation of that system. But then in recent many years, I've used fog. So I kind of use all three now.
You showed me at one time this like mini grid thing,
and I still use it.
Holy moly! Shane wanted to learn. He's still in the learning process, and he wanted to learn. He's like, let me try lines, because he was watching Dent Trainer and seeing Mike Toledo, and we put lines on the board, and he was like, man, I can't find anything.
That's a whole different animal. But I mean, I've spent a lot of time with lines in recent years, because I'm trying to expand into a little bit of everything, but really, I use my grid thing as a quick acquisition. And also that I don't have to do the hang for the initial thing. I can just sit there and bring something into a really tight, close proximity, especially when I'm doing production work on one of my places that needs me for production. Man, it's so quick. It's so time saving. It's so, I can just bring something so close without uncomfortable leaning and then set out my fog and also my line, and I'll check things in a lot of different ways. Something might look different if it warrants that. If it's a finishing type of job.
So you're out there. Where are you now with the business? Like, where are you? What are you doing every day? Are you doing rock lot stuff? Are you doing dealers? We had this.
See, when some of us guys do high-end stuff, but we actually happen to be standing on gravel.
So he works at a place that, and it was funny because we were at dinner. He's like, I'm working on a rock lot. You guys are always talking about rock lots. So his rock lot is not a standard rock lot. So when we talk about rock lots and I give him a hard time, that's what we're talking about. But
it's just that this $1 zillion industry place that I work for, and I can't use names. It's not that big a deal. Most people can guess, but I'll just say one of the big rental car places is one of my big things right now. And I have to do a certain type of work for them in a certain way. And you're asking where I'm at now. One of the other unique things I did is I worked while working for this and doing retail work. And I also worked at a new car dealer or new and used car dealership group, one of the big local ones.
When we first talked, you had such a unique working situation. You were at one dealer, then you were.
I was an in-house employee with vacation pay and sick leave, and also, that I worked there, but half my other time was working outside. But that's the way they wanted their stuff done. And it was great. I mean, in some way you're protected,
of course,
and you have like a in-house deal.
Yeah, constant money.
But that's that's like I'm never today I'm not comfortable. I'm always expanding, learning new tools. I'm too paranoid to sit down anymore. And there's no way to be comfortable for me anymore because now I know where to go, who to see. Industry so much more open. All guys are sharing stuff, so it's so much cooler than it ever used to be.
It's definitely
way back in the day
with all the online stuff.
And honestly, there's so much work out there. I know some people have a problem acquiring work, and that is, for a lot of people is kind of a tough thing. And it is tough in different areas and different things.
A lot of it's personality based. And the area, you know what I mean? I think it's all area based. If you're out in Kentucky and in the fields,
if it's not a big major, we're in the Washington D.C. There's millions of people around. Second worst traffic behind L.A. Yes. I mean, there's people like
this guy's got it made. He drives like 12 minutes to 12 mile. How far?
I got about a 12-mile circle from my house to work and back right now. But like I said, I had the dealership group and everything was expanding and I couldn't hang on to it all. But I had a good buddy of mine who I trained, that I trained, and he kind of did the business part-time initially and he had 2 or 3 other things going on at the same time, other businesses. That was another thing I was going to mention later, is just how cool this industry is. But anyway, he was able to transition out of some of these other businesses he didn't want to, and now he's predominantly or basically full-time doing his thing, and he took over the dealership group primarily. And now I'm all mostly with the one entity for now, but it's which is I got all kinds of feelings about, all positive as far as it's cool, but we were talking earlier, it's like,
I mean, sometimes
all your eggs in one basket is a risky, tough thing.
I've been there. I was at CarMax in Laurel, Maryland for a lot of years, and they signed a big corporate contract with the Dent Wiz, and they said tomorrow's your last day, and I'm like,
Yep.
super cool. I got nothing else. You know, we figured it out.
Oh, I know if that happened to me today, the embarrassing thing is when you go to dingsdents.com, which is a really cool website. And I fought hard for that website. And now I barely used it my whole career because I just haven't, I've always had the good lettering on my van, but now the new van, I haven't put any lettering back on it yet. But I got so much work off of that, just my lettering and running around, and then eventually word of mouth.
Oh,
and, and I've got, we're busy right now because we've had some hail in the area. And, and I'm trying to, don't call me, don't answer, don't, and
now you're incognito.
A little bit, but I'm trying to keep, with the one entity that I work for, it's, I do not want my finishing skills to, because I can't always use them. I'm not always going to be paid.
No.
I'm a little bit more of a retail ready production thing, but it's very interesting. And then big van stuff and roof things. Forgot to mention.
So he's got
the tool.
I wanted to bring that on. Actually, we're getting ready to do that now. I wanted to bring on, what are your new tools that you've gotten that you're really enjoying? Something new, something that you're.
I had the Big Reaper, and I got the Viper Skin. Super cool. We were looking at that a little bit ago. I didn't want to bring a ton of tools onto the show. You didn't want to bring
on 30 tools on the show.
Yeah, but there's so many. The dead on tips.
Oh, they're the ballistic tips.
It's the ballistic.
Yeah, Woody did a great job with those tips.
Really did. I just got they were sold out. I got like the one little peewee.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Killer. That's why I knew I had to get this other one, and I just got that, and I've been using it for a little bit. They're now my main. I always want to fall in love with this one or that one, and the VIP I still love. That's my dent or my van side production, like all the cargo stuff. I use that a lot for the van sides when I get showered with those a little bit. But man, I was just using the peewee. I was just going back and forth. I need to get some. I was always wondering if I should get the Willie quick.
Yeah, I actually talked to Bobby yesterday, man. They've got a lot of new tools coming out
got
too.
So many like tips. You saw I got a lot of
he's got
my tap downs.
So much stuff in there. I was like, oh my gosh. We just kind of sat here for like an hour just looking over each other's tools. And that's the cool thing with this industry is, we met at one of the workshops.
Yeah.
And just
I just wanted to come over and
Dent guys just really, we're really lucky in this industry that we're so passionate about things that we can just sit there and have dinner with somebody and just chat about this or that. You've got another tool over here that I see that a good friend of mine created.
I know a lot of people know what this is.
I don't even have it with the color, so I haven't seen it with the etching. So this
and there's some etching on it. That's really you kind of see it. It
says Crown Jewel. So what's your thoughts on that tool?
So I got it a couple weeks, 3 weeks ago. I don't know. Time flies when you're sweating in 90,000 degrees. I walked up and I'm like, I kind of understood. Okay, it's lighter weight. You're going to use a little more force, but I also whoever invents this. Oh my, what is it? Chad.
Peters.
Whoa. I kind of got it right away. Read this description. I'm like, okay, I know I need it. He was sold out. I would have got this 2 months ago or something, and then I just kind of put it out of my mind. But it's on my list. I have thousands of dollars worth of tools in my list. But I need to set up my van and understand where my business is going before I push a bunch of buttons and spend a bunch of money.
I'll spend it for you at MTE.
Yeah, I think now I'm going to MTE with this guy. September, I'm committed.
And so what do you like about that hammer?
When I first walked up, I kind of knew what it was, and I walked up to the big QX80 or whatever, the big Infinity
Oh yeah.
Nissan SUV, and I saw a crown. They didn't even write it up for it. And man, the first few times I hit this thing, what everyone was saying, it just, if you're just got a little control, and I'm not the greatest blender in the world. I just don't, I don't do a ton of it. And I do more blending with tips, and I'm just not the biggest hammer guy.
I'm not either.
But this one, man, I could just really sit back.
It doesn't punish you. It doesn't dent.
It pushes in I can see, of course, you have to have your light set up right, or a good background or something where you can really see, and just bring in the pressure a little bit more. And man, you just start to see those crowns just lay down. And I started to get aggressive, and I still wasn't causing divots.
Well, you're not on Instagram much, but
no,
I'll do a video every now and then, at least once a month, and just really hurting something.
And then I did a Ford Focus roof yesterday, and I was done in minutes. I just, there was like a couple crowns here, a couple crowns there, and I was just walking back and forth. And it was, again, not something I had to make flawless. I just had to make the majority of it go away. And man, I was it's pulled the car back out, put it in there. It is. I haven't even begun to understand what I can do, and maybe substitute some things I'm doing.
And one thing I like about it is it's got two different sides. You're like, yeah, it's different surface area. Well, it's different than that. So there's different densities on this larger side to this later side.
Okay.
It's not just the surface area, it's the density of the rubber. They hit totally different. I'll start with the large, and I'll really be pounding on it. And then I'll switch to the smaller. Or if it's a tighter crown that's kind of hard and protruding, you get some really tough, nasty crowns, I'll start with the smaller right away. And the reason I do that is because that crown is so high. If you go right in with the big one, it's going to mull it down, and everything around it's going to be low.
Yeah.
So solid carbon shaft, rubber ball at the end. Sometimes I'll use the rubber ball. You know what I mean? It's a perfect, it fits nice in your hand. It's a good purpose hammer. When it first came out, I shared a room with Chad at the Hail Expo, and he's like, I got something for you. And Chad's a very methodical thought dude. Like, when you have a real conversation with this guy, you're kind of like, there's more going in there than we know. He's got that thought of, how can I make this better, or how can I create this? And that guy's got more ideas. I don't even know half of them, but he was like, check this out. And I was like, another blending hammer? Do we really need another blending hammer? And he goes,
it's like a blending hammer, but
it's not. It's totally different.
Yeah, it's like it's got door stoppers on it. It doesn't make sense initially, but man, it works.
A buddy of mine came from Belgium, Bjorn Toots, and he got one, and we were beating on Dwayne from Pro PDR or PDR box, and beating on his hood. And I was like, okay, now I'm starting to get it. And it was like the first day I got back, I had this busted fender with all these crowns, and I'm just beating on this thing. And I've got a short version. I don't even have this version. My version's only about 12 inches long.
This is, to me, if you were going to buy one,
this is it. The middle
intermediate,
one is it. Yeah. And I had Shane take a video of it and sent it to Chad, and he goes, you figured it out. I said, called him up that evening, and I said, hey, you changed my life. And he starts laughing, and I'm like, I'm telling you,
I know, Mr. Roof over here.
I do all these smash roofs.
That's got to be gold.
There's nothing like it, and they're not real. They're reasonably priced for what it is.
Just a little bit. I've used it already. It's practically paid for itself.
We've got a question for you. It says, Rick, if you started over, would you rather have been thrown to the wolves and learn, or went through initial training that you went through?
Initial training, as in preschool or before school?
I think mainly he's asking, would you have rather have kind of figured out how to do it yourself, or gone to some type of training and then went on from there. Is how I'm understanding how James is placing the words.
I think there was too many things to learn that even going to a school that maybe I couldn't endorse, and that there's probably so many better options, and maybe even this option is much better nowadays. I just assume everything's better. And we had no internet, and everyone always says that, but it's true. We had so little. No, I think you still have to have some weeks of training,
Mhm.
or be, on somebody.
Every single day, seeing how
Yeah.
like Shane right now, he's fixing some smaller damage, but he knows the tools. He fixed some stuff in the hood today. He knew what tool to grab. He knew what he had to do and got in there and we're fixing dents. That's half the battle, is knowing what tool you're going to use to fix it. That's going to cut your time down in half.
I think someone could do like some online dent training and some other things and go grab a hood and go mess around. But I think you're going to have some formal training, even if it's something you can only do in stages.
So we got Manny's PDR in here. If you guys haven't seen Manny's work, he's a special PDR guy. He's a young guy, learned, and some of the repairs he's fixing over there in California,
I've seen.
it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys go to his Instagram, his Facebook, man, he's a super nice guy. Met him at MTE. He's been following all the shows and all that stuff. Just a good dude. Check out his page. He does some really, really amazing repairs for as little time as he has in the business. And that's one thing that I think now is different. And this is something that I brought up with Mike Toledo, was guys are learning in 2 years what took us 8 years to learn.
Oh, I'm
The tooling,
sure.
the training, and just the information. Just these podcasts driving around. I remember PDR College I would listen to, and some of the stuff in there I still apply to my daily business. Every day I still apply some of the stuff that I learned from them, just listening to it in the car.
I was saying, on my way over to, Delaware to visit my parents, I got 2+ hours in the car, and man, I keep listening to Mike Toledo's podcast. I think I might be caught up.
Yeah.
So
There's
sad
so
for
much
me.
information out there now. It's
Yeah, and even once you know it, like we know it, you can just hear someone describe something and kind of learn a lot just from that.
Yeah.
But I think when you're not quite as experienced, you still need that visual reinforcement.
Dent trainer's a
Would be
great avenue.
Oh, dent trainer is awesome. Yeah, I think that for somebody else coming along, and if you did want to kind of ease your way into this, but learn maybe enough from somebody to get.
Even now for me on the dent trainer end, it's still worth my time to go back and refresh and watch some of these,
Especially as they keep adding new content.
The business factor of that. I said that to Mike the other week. Just the business section of that with the waivers and the different things you can print out. I love it. It just runs year round for me. I just buy it every year and just let it run, and it's totally worth it. What's up, Don Cavanaugh? We got Donald Cavanaugh in here, Mr. Facebook Live himself.
Is that the Don Cavanaugh that's going to? Is it Kiko's having a training glue?
I don't know. Are you doing the glue pulling thing with Kiko, Don?
I think Mike Toledo was going, and it's like a July 12th. I would love to go, but I'm just not sure.
He's making all that money.
Man, there's that other odd thing is, man, when you're a one-man show, and I've always been a one-man show, that, my old 52-year-old fat butt keeps himself running, 3 miles a day here and there, every few days a week. And
what is the future? Like,
I'm going all the way in. That's the other thing, I'm another 20 pounds hopefully coming off in the next few months, but no, I'm taking it all the way in the way it is.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what's going to happen day to day.
Your situation is unique. Your situation is kind of unique. So it's kind of,
if I can make
eggs in one basket, and just
if I can make 65 still doing it or whatever, I'm going. I keep reading all these things. We're all going to live to be, 80, 90, 100 years old. Who knows? Everyone's like, oh, you train somebody and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, man, it's just maybe it's
It
not.
takes so much time to train.
I did train one person, my good buddy,
He
Rick
says,
Meyer.
no, he's not doing that one.
Oh, okay.
So this is Don from Dent Craft.
No, I know. Okay, I'm getting my people, but I know Don.
Don.
I've seen him.
I'm trying to think what Vince calls him. Vince calls him. I don't even know.
No, I've seen a
Don's-
lot of updates, and I've heard. I think they had a podcast.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, or he was dropped in on or
Yeah.
something. But no, I'm sorry, Don. No, I know Don's one of the big giants.
That's it.
One of the
He
Grand
had the
Toledo.
Stanliner event,
Yeah.
which looked
No, and I
super
remember
awesome.
seeing updates on that on PDR Tool Time.
That looked super awesome. That looked like a really good event. I'm sure he's going to do some more here in the future. It seemed like it went really well, and it seemed like everybody got something from it. I know John's on here, the Dent Reaper from Grey Duck. He was saying how great the event was and the information that's out there. What's the biggest advantage you have now for even still learning? Is it because of the internet? Is it the podcast? Is it YouTube videos? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it all the events
Just
going
everything online. And although I haven't taken as much advantage as I can, I'm going to, especially, how much of a glue puller I am. I start nearly every single thing that I do by glue pulling. Unless it's a little teeny ding, I almost glue pull everything. And I just walk out. My glue is hot for the last 3 years, maybe 4. I have a glue gun hot, sometimes 2, constantly. And I'm just glue pull my butt off. We were saying earlier, I was one of the times I got behind the curve. I was like, man, I know a few guys are like pulling rails and I'm just not, I'm not up to speed. And I went out and glue pulled everything for months.
So you're a dabbler. You kind of dabble in YouTube, dabble in Facebook, dabble in podcasts, dabble.
And now I think we're advanced enough that, man, sometimes when I saw this tool and I thought about it, I'm like, I kind of knew exactly how it was going to work. And I just knew it. And like the doodah.
Yeah.
And I was showing you, man, you have to get one of those.
I don't have a doodah, but
you got to get one.
He kept saying, you got to get one of these. And I'm like, that's just because you sell it.
No, Dave Johnson
has been telling me, he's been telling me for
it costs no money
2 years
because you pull a couple things so quickly. It's made its money
in like power of it,
3-4 times, and some precision. But I mean, I've done some things with fenders so quickly just to get myself close to finishing, and that time shrinkage and a few of those, and there the tool's paid for.
Yeah, just
in time savings.
So Chris is asking, how do you master access on different cars without Mobile Tech RX? Mobile Tech RX is an awesome tool. They've got some great images in there for the comparative price. Do you pay for the comparative pricing?
Yes. I don't use it that much because it seems I run into bad luck and it's like, oh, it doesn't show this one.
I think a lot of it is just getting to know your cars, where access is.
To me, the cars are they've all taken their best ideas from each other. The Japanese cars, they decontented them over a certain period. Even the German cars, which used to have a zillion fuzzy screws in the, they're going to take a screw and make it fuzzy and make it disappear. Typical German thing. Yeah. Over-engineered. Now they've all
flocked.
Yeah, they're taking their best.
See, we're talking all kind of crap today. We're talking we're talking about flocking and.
We could have 3-hour shows. There's so many things to talk about. It's insane, but
I really think it's just repetition.
Once you've seen a car exploded, I mean, I'm just saying they're not all that different from each other.
Yeah,
and
I mean, we just worked on a Mazda today that had one of those inserts in with the regulator and everything. So you take the glass out and that whole regulator section comes out. I never knew they were on Mazdas.
Okay.
So that's a Dodge thing, some Mercedes. You know, all these guys are getting into that whole unit.
Take their best ideas from each other. And the other thing that I work such a high volume of cars where I'm at right now that you get a lot of touch and access. You just start, a lot.
What is your most frequent car you fix there? Is there a certain manufacturer?
Some of them are just so a zillion
Dodges,
Caravans.
Yeah.
But more Toyotas than you can imagine lately. And then Nissan products just beyond you can imagine. But a zillion Tahoes and Suburbans. You know, there's just too much variety. But I get to do quarter
panels
on
the Suburbans and the Tahoes, because the new ones are super tough.
Whatever that you can, they just pull so easily. Yeah. So I just the new Kiko dead center tabs with the restrictor plate, whatever the
dead center plate,
the dead center plate.
Okay.
Pop that on and prep your panel really well, and I barely have to take a taillight out. Of course, I'm doing it to like a retail ready for this one predominant thing I'm doing right now, but I can do all kinds of stuff. And then all the little waves like around the wheel wells and stuff, cold glue. It's just amazing.
It's amazing. Like, so I go on my shops.
Cold glue is just so awesome.
They ask, they're like, "Is that just the dum-dum?" Which is really like window butyl.
Somebody said, "Oh, I know what that stuff is." I'm like,
"No, it's totally different."
I don't know.
Do you ever heat your?
Yes, I have the Milwaukee little heat gun, and I will heat both sides and prep them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's times, and then I do a lot of outdoor work, and even in the winter, I have to get.
Okay, since you're a glue puller, we're going to go this route. What's your favorite glue? Favorite tabs? You can only give me one option. If you had to pick your dead center favorite anything, what is it? I'm picking his brain today. Since we're talking about flocking, we're going to talk about.
You're gonna hate me for this one. It's Cactus Hog.
Mixing cactus green and hog, huh?
No, that I can't, because right now I'm just so in love with the hog. But I use the green. Cactus green is that's the one on a desert island, and that's my desert island glue. I'm stuck doing in my bizarro world.
Cactus green is it.
I'm stuck on a desert island, but still fixing dents. I gotta have the cactus.
You've got Don in here. Got a couple guys from the West Coast. They're gonna use a total different glue than we are, because of the temperature, the humidity, all that comes in a factor. And there's sometimes today you brought out some dead out red, and I was like, that's great 100-degree glue.
I was getting monstrous pulls out of it, as I was saying earlier. And then root beer didn't like too much. I didn't quite love that initially. And then I just popped a stick in recently, and man, it was just pulling incredible.
Tabwell goes right in the trash here.
Yet I'm a Tabwell guy, but only on Kiko Super Tabs. It's the only thing I use it for.
And like you said, you use it because it stays pliable.
Because it stays pliable and it doesn't pull. The one that I can't seem to get off a car is the yellow.
Dead out yellow?
I think the dead out yellow. It was even pulling paint in situations. I rarely pull paint. What do you use
in cold weather?
The green and the hog.
You know what I use? Is Swiss blue.
I've tried it.
It's really, really, really cold.
I've tried it. I think I have some out there, but if I can prep the panel and keep a little heat on it, then man, I'm just getting.
I got to get a strong arm.
I know. I wanted to win the strong arm.
Hey, we did have two winners. I didn't bring that up. It was Dent Hunters Arizona and Matt Ra. So we've been in contact with them to get them their products. Dent Hunters was super excited that he won. He sent me a message. He's like, I never win anything. So it's nice to get some of these products in some of these guys' hands that I never win contests. I'm
kind of the same way. I just, that's on my list. I've got a whole, I've got a thing that's maybe on 2 pages now, but that's one of the big
Well, I'm
ones
gonna
on my
ask you,
list.
your 3 tools, 1 through 3 of the tools that you want to have. Your tools that you are gonna buy. Your first 3 that you are like, I need to have.
Problem,
So
I don't really need anything.
if you went out, like you said, you have this list. If you went to MT and every tool manufacturer's there, what are the first 3 tools that you're like, I'm getting these?
I told you earlier, because I glue pull so much, and it's, the thing I've always tried to expand more and more. I mean, I'm trying to, we're always trying to learn constantly in this business. I think, anyone who's been doing it for a while realize there's always more learning. But I want the Kiko
Crease killer.
crease killer. I can use that so much, but I've got about a $2,000 bill to spend with Kiko in the not too distant future. But I've just got so much right now. I'm just been shy to pull the trigger. I want
Number 2.
some of them maybe Stanliner curved.
Like the
They
raised
sell
snake?
not the I have a raised snake. The long blade, not the snake,
Crane?
not the. I don't think it's the crane. They sell a curved set, and I think I want the curved set of Stanliner. Bryce Kelly used one on one of his videos. That was very interesting.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. He's got some really good stuff, and he's got a lot of his stuff that he had at their event that aren't even on the website. So they've got some new tools coming out too. Don Cavanaugh is a big Stanliner guy, so I don't use them that much. I use them some.
The one I use my race snake a lot, and I do the other thing. They have a lot of the Dodge Challengers, and
You're
on
not
the
talking about the Pirate Hawk, are you?
no,
Oh, the fishtails.
the fishtails.
Yeah.
I think I might want to get a couple of the intermediate fishtails. There's just some applications I could have used it for recently that I know it would have been perfect for.
Matt says a killer whale's good too.
I have a killer whale, and I do use it up fenders once in a while. If I could have a killer whale that had a little less curve to it, and I don't want to mess with the one I have now, but if they could make a killer whale with a little less that I could get down in a door and stitch some creases left to right rolling. I've done some nice creases in the front fenders.
I think my biggest problem is that I don't quite understand and know how to use the tools, and that's why I don't use them that much. I said that to Thomas. We were talking on the phone one day, and I said that's my biggest problem. He's like, "You got to come to the event." And I didn't come.
Do a course with him.
We,
Man, it's
Don had it at his shop, and it was a really good turnout. So like I said, I think they're gonna have some more. I think it should be coming up. I'm sure he's gonna keep trying to get
the fishtail curves.
Curved fishtails.
I know that I
Right
could
there,
use.
so they know.
Absolutely could use.
What's number 3?
I mean, there's just I've got a whole list, but I need something like that for sure. And I know Ultra sells a similar kind of tool, so I'm not sure. I've got both of them. I'm looking at them. I've got a garage shop set up that I need some things for, and I don't know what big light to get, but that's another one, but it's probably not my top 3.
Well, we just had Daniel Grom on my live feed on YouTube on Facebook. He was talking about the James Lee light. So
that's the one I've been waiting for.
Me too.
I have his version 3 20-inch, which I love.
2 years I waited. I ended up going pro PDR, and I'm very happy with it. I've got nothing bad to say about it. It's working out really well for me. I got the 36-inch since I'm mobile. It's light, works really well with the Never Loose. A lot of guys told me not to do that for a door dinger, but for what I'm using it for, it's working really well. So I can't complain. Use their stand. I really like their stand. The reason I like their stand is for one, for me it folds up really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
The legs fold up nicely. The back leg comes off really easy. Telescoping boom, which is really nice. I've got nothing bad to say about it. But James Lee's light's massive. I mean it's humongous. It's got a lot of LEDs in it, and it's well made.
And I'm looking for something a little less mobile and more shop oriented, because if I have something, since I don't have a large circle that I have to move through, that I can bring something back to my home garage shop. So I'd rather have just something, that's really going to get me a little stationary. I don't have to move it that much. And so I'm still, I think, waiting for James Lee's light. And I want to
It's
go
out
look at
now.
them. No, I'm saying what I
It's
want to
sold
go.
out, but
I
yeah.
probably want to go look at them at
And his MT, he's all excited.
September MT.
We were talking at dinner. He's trying to make it to MTE this year. So the Gray Duck says the crane is my favorite, and then the Pirate Hook. So
I don't have a Pirate Hook yet. The crane looks so interesting. I mean, I want to get like a version of his most popular ones and keep messing with them. I just keep finding. So the Race Snake, I got the Stanliner version of his, and I will use that on the front fenders of Challengers where they have those soft little pulls.
Yeah.
Now that was pre cold glue, but you don't get sharp slices. It moves a lot of the metal
cleaner.
And with no hives.
Yeah.
Because it's although it's a thin contact surface, it's a long surface. So the actual contact is significant compared to like a point.
It's I spent a little bit of time with Casimir at MTE, and the amount of metal that was moving with his little force, it was really cool.
And the whole dragging thing and all, I've done some of that. I just I don't even care if I use them traditionally or the way he thinks that that he designed them for. If I find a use for them, I'm not going to box myself into anything. I just be creative with your tools.
No.
Find different ways, different edges.
Matt said he saw the James Lee light at Mike Toledo's shop because they're pretty close. They're kind of in that same area. Yeah. I saw it at Anson, and it's just massive. It's you can move the lens. It's just like your version 3 to where you can move the lens in and out. And it's got a lot of LEDs in it. Some of the pictures I've seen lately of guys actually using it on hail, you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of light, but you need it. You know what I mean? If you're trying to move that light as little as you can,
yeah,
totally worth it. So that may be your go.
When I'm doing it mobile and I've got my 20-inch limit dent, I've got my little stucky next to it, so I can kind of do it, and then I can reach over and take.
So you're using both at the same time?
I will sometimes either to extend left to right, or I'll have a natural cross check. I'll have the stucky, where I can lean over and look. And
Stucky's got a great fade.
Oh, it's great. Well, and I have one of the old, and that's my little rail light, my little detail, my little reach over quick. I've got the old 12-inch version, and I still love it.
Yeah.
I almost don't want the 14. They sold a 14 and an 18. Maybe they still sell 14 and 18.
Yeah, he's got a great fade on those boards. I don't know. It's the future of paintless dent repair tools is unlimited. It's some really cool that
in some ways it's almost like you have paralysis, because it's like, well, what's around the corner?
What's over? Nice seeing. Perfect example, Hudson coming out with a tool that he's the R&I guy. He's an accessory guy.
Oh, I know. I've seen some of his.
When I was on the PDR tool time, he was saying
I admire that guy.
His biggest thing is the accessories, and just cool seeing guys come up with tools. Chad coming up with the hammer. I mean, all these guys just coming up with great ideas that work. I can't wait to see what's around the corner. Of the tool industry, of stuff that's coming out. I'm sure at MTE there's going to be a ton. Make sure you guys, if you can make it to MTV, we are doing good tonight.
Mobile Tech Expo
with the flocking and MTV, but MTE Vegas, it's going to be, if you're a door dinger, I think it's going to be a better door dinger show than Orlando. I think there'll be more door dingers than hail guys there, and I think it's going to be a really good networking. It's kind of it looks like the location is, everything's together. It's a huge location, so I think it's going to be a good fit for us. Just don't know about dent guys in Vegas is the only thing that scares me, but we'll be okay. I've been to Vegas a million times, so for me, it's just like going to the beach here. It's like a 2-hour drive. But anything else you want to go over? We're getting ready to close it out.
There's so much to do. When your list gets a little light, we'll do another one of these before too long. There's even specific categories. I was thinking there's so much that we could go over.
1 hour goes fast.
I know. Well, I knew it was. We couldn't stop talking from dinner. Bought me dinner. Thank you. Nice man.
Well, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we could finally get you on the show. We've been talking about it for some time, and
just a couple of us Maryland guys
just hanging out, talking dents and flocking. Well, look, guys, I appreciate you watching. We're gonna get off here. Appreciate it. I'll see you next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gonna have another great guest on. Gonna keep that one a little bit of a secret until the very last minute. But I appreciate it. And remember, guys, keep it real. See ya.
Later.